Oh, well, Simon Harris is a parent who has three children who go to school in Essex at Hockley Primary School specifically. Simon, hello, good morning.
Hello there, how's it going?
Yeah, all right, thank you. Now, the school was closed, wasn't it, temporarily in June, due to concerns
Yep.
over Raac. So this is not a new thing for you. You know all about Raac. How did it affect you?
But again, because obviously it's now made the national headlines because of the sudden influx of other schools that have shut. But yeah, you're right. You know, we've had this since June, basically, and the staff in the school have been absolutely amazing in getting plans in place to keep disruption to an absolute minimum. So I mean, for a while, all of the kids were temporarily relocated to another site, just while there was some sort of shifting around in terms of pupil numbers and exam leavers and stuff like that, just for the last half term before summer. And now, because this problem is now being extended from the start of the new school year, now it's going to be sort of mid-November potentially before the kids can get back on the main site.
Wow.
They're going to be split across three different sites locally with transport laid on, basically to make sure that parents still only have the one drop off and pick up. So it's just, it's sort of been a big logistical thing basically, but they're on top of it, which is great.
Yeah. I mean, how much of the school is affected? Presumably quite a lot of it by the sound of it.
Yeah, from my understanding is sort of subsequent investigations and things like that. They've sort of seen that there are actually a couple of classrooms that can be used that aren't affected by the wreck. So we've got some kids there, and then the other kids split across two other sites within the same small town that we live in.
So, what did you think about it when you first heard that this was likely to happen? That you had this building which was effectively in danger of crumbling.
Obviously, safety always comes first, without a shadow of a doubt, because you can't have kids in classrooms wearing hard hats and things like that. It just wouldn't be, feasible. But again, I think it's, I mean, again, on a school level and even on a local authority level as well, because obviously ours is a trust school, so Essex County Council wouldn't be involved, I don't think, in
Mm.
the fixing and the maintenance and stuff like that. I mean, on a sort of school level and even a county-wide level, people are sort of really working really, really hard just to A, find the problems, and B, sort out the kids' education to make sure that, nothing is decided to any great extent. It's just on the Department for Education level that I'm sort of a bit disappointed really in how things have gone, just because a lot of the parental frustrations in our community have been not a result of the school not giving regular updates along the way, but the school literally not having the information to give updates along the way, because it's the DfE that have been responsible for sorting out the temporary classrooms, basically. And one deadline of September has now become middle of November, and there's not a lot of confidence that that's actually going to happen either, just for obvious reasons, because we've already had one letdown. And yet it's the school and the teachers that have to bear the brunt of it and have all of the criticism and shouting from parents, especially on social media, when in fact, they're sort of working around the clock to try and get things sorted out to minimise disruption. And yet the DfE's kind of distant approach to it means that we can't sort of get in touch with them. So it's always the teachers that are having to deal with it, and that's the really, really sad thing. It's the teachers and the staff at the school and the people within the trust that are trying to fix it, and yet they're the ones getting all the hassle from parents because the DfE just sort of don't have that open communication, and that's the really frustrating thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I should just read you what Gillian Keegan, the Education Secretary, had to say about this. She says nothing is more important than making sure children and staff are safe in schools and colleges, which is why we're acting on new evidence about Raac now ahead of the start of term. We must take a cautious approach because that is the right thing to do for both pupils and staff. The plan we've set out will minimise the impact on pupil learning and provide schools with the right funding and support they need to put mitigations in place to deal with Raac. So, I mean, Simon, your kids are what day do they go back? They're back this week, are they?
They are, yeah, next week.
And just kind of give us some sort of idea logistically of where they've all got to head to, and I mean, they've done it already, presumably at the end of last term, but where will they be at the start of
Well,
this
I mean,
term?
towards the end of last term, they're all on one huge site, split across two different schools. Because we've got like a secondary school joining onto a primary school in Hockley, so there's like a huge site where they're able to distribute people around. As of next week, there are three different separate schools locally within our little town of Hockley. So what will just happen is everybody will go and meet in the main school, drop off time, and then there'll be a bus going off to one school for one lot of kids, a bus going off to another school for another lot of kids.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's all been planned, you know, and I mean, what the school are basically trying to do is, and this is where all of the really, really hard work comes in. What the school are doing, because I've got three different kids on three different sites. Others have got two kids maybe on one site, one kid on another. Others just have kids on one site, but they're literally trying really, really hard to sort of deal with every single, what's the word, not mitigating circumstance, but they're just trying to deal with every specific situation on a parent by parent basis.
It's why it's
And that's
complicated, isn't
basically
it?
what
Yeah.
yeah. Because I mean, obviously, some parents work
Yeah.
in various situations, and they can't get to one site at one time. So I mean, they are literally trying really, really, really hard to make sure that all parents have, you know, everything in place that they need.
Look, Simon, thank you very much indeed for talking to us this morning. Hope everything, you know, the stress around going back to school is bad enough as it is. But thank you so much for talking to us, Simon Harris, who has three children who go to Hockley Primary School in Essex.